What is up, everybody? Sean Sheehan back here with another edition of the Sheehan Show for Sherdog.com. And today the card I'm looking at is Eagle FC 46. And the last couple of Eagle FC cards I've looked at and previewed and actually talked after them as well. And this one is obviously a new one, a very different one, I would say, to the other cards, and obviously in very different circumstances as well. I'm just going to do kind of a sharp preview today and look at the fights and look at some of the fighters obviously on this card as well. I have to start it off though. Obviously this is a Russian-owned promotion with Khabib Nurmagomedov as the figurehead. Like, does Khabib Nurmagomedov, I went full Joe Rogan there, own this? Is he all the money behind it? I don't think he is. I'm not 100% sure, but I believe there's a couple of things out there that this is obviously being backed by, you know, money from Russia. If it's Khabib or someone else, obviously, you know, Khabib's manager Aliev was at the last card. You know, we've seen his ties to Russia and different things. And it's one of those cards that, because it is kind of ran by Russians and from you know, a Russian promotion, it started off in Russia, now in Florida, it's obviously not going to have any problems going ahead or anything like that, whereas if it was maybe ran by America or someone in America by an American promotion, if it was kind of an American promotion that was used to be a Russian promotion and loads of other Russian fighters, maybe there would be some calls for some of the fighters not to be on it, or for the card not to go ahead, or whatever it might be. Now, I'm not going here and give you a speech about politics or give my maybe opinions on it or anything, apart from saying obviously what's going on over in Ukraine is absolutely horrendous, and you know, I think we all agree on the kind of the actual politics or the war part of it itself. I think everyone's in agreement there. The sporting part of it is the kind of thing I'm talking about here today, and the thing that I'm not sure about, to be honest. Like, I was thinking about it, obviously I put a lot of thought into this and what I would say, and honestly I don't know. Like, I saw in Formula 1, Mazepan, the Russian driver, has been let go by his team and won't be driving. I think KSW in MMA itself have stopped the Russian fighter fighting. I know I'm here in Ireland, and our international soccer team have refused to play against Russia. I know the IMAF championships that are coming up, the Super Cup thing, Russia has been banned from that. So we're in a world right now where Russian individuals and teams are being banned from things. So I had to start off this preview with that. Like, that is the backbone behind all this, or the background issue, I suppose, or maybe the foreground issue behind all of these. And if you're not watching this card, or you think, you know, that, you know, Russian people and you know, promotions and everything should be banned until there's some sort of resolution, I can't disagree with you. And I know there is a school of thought as well there that, like, a lot of these Russian people disagree with it, and why should they be penalised for the acts of someone else? And, you know, it's hard to disagree with that as well in a lot of different ways. So I don't know the answer. That's it. Like, I could come on here and I could give my opinion, and honestly I don't even know my opinion wholeheartedly on the sporting side of it. I really don't know. So, but I think I started this and I wanted to say that because I think people should think about that and make up their own minds. If you don't want to watch this card, if you don't want to support this event, even if you don't want to watch this video, no problem at all. But I think we need to think about that at this stage. And, you know, people are always saying separate sports and politics. We can't do that, right? I'm going to separate it here in obviously the next 3 quarters of this video and talk about the fighters coming up, because a lot of these fighters, you know, they deserve the respect, and they deserve to be talked about, and they deserve to have their fights talked about. But I have to start it with that, and just to kind of say, people need to kind of, you know, smarter people than me need to talk about this and need to discuss what needs to happen. And look, hopefully it can all end very, very soon, and we will not even need to have this as a discussion. But I had to kind of kick it off with that, and you know, and take it from there. So let's look at the card all in all. It's going down on March 11th this weekend over in the FLX Cast Arena. It was on that FLX casting last time, which is some sort of app. I got it here on their website. I don't think it's available in Ireland, but the actual app. But it worked brilliantly. I cast it to my TV and it was absolutely fantastic. Usually, even on Fight Pass or any of the apps, they don't work very well, but this worked absolutely fantastically. In the main event, it's Kevin Lee versus Diego Sanchez, which we will get to in a second. But I want to run through some of the undercard and some of the names that maybe stick out to me. So there's a middleweight bout between Emmanuel Walo and Ryder Newman starting off the card. And then after that, there's a couple of fights that maybe don't have that many standout names. Caio Uruguai and Sitik Muduev. Then in the featherweight division, in at welterweight, Thomas Webb versus Tyler Ray. But there's a light heavyweight fight. Honey Marks, who's obviously been around for a long time, he's fighting there against Reggie Pena. That should be interesting. They're doing this 165-pound division as well, and they have some prospects fighting here. The 4-1 Dylan Mantello against Archie Colgan. That Dylan Mantello, he fought under... did he fight in their last card? No, he didn't fight in their last card. Sorry, I'm thinking of someone else. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see that one now and how that goes at 165-pound division, because that's something that separates them from other places, you know. It is, you know, I've always said it about Bellator. They signed loads of like heavyweights / light heavyweights, and there were some heavyweights fighting a light heavyweight. And I always thought, like, why aren't these guys fighting a cruiserweight? Why didn't they make a cruiserweight division? It would have been different to what the UFC has. It would have been, you know, something very, very new that would separate them, and they never did it, and I never really understood it. And when you look at Eagle FC doing this and having the 165-pound division that other places are not having, I think that's very, very smart. And you know, you can call them the best 165-pounder in the world now. It mightn't be true or whatever, but you can say that, and I think it's a you know, an intelligent thing that they're doing. Further up the card, in Irwin Rivera at the bantamweight division, he's fighting Firdavs, Khasanov, and in an interesting fight. So in the last card, they had a few guys like this as well, but Nah-Shon Burrell is on this card. You know, everyone knows him now. He's had 30 odd fights throughout his career, you know, fighting he's gone over to ACB, but he started off in you know, he's had a few fights in the UFC, fighting Wonderboy Thompson, fought Koreshkov and Michael Venom Page in Bellator, and you know, obviously back in the day as well, he fought he had a couple of fights in Strikeforce and other places as well. But he's one of these guys that I think he was a very good prospect coming through, and lots of people thought he was going to do very well. And then he had a good few losses in a row, especially kind of when he went out of the UFC and the Bellator kind of picture. But I think he's a name that people know. I'm looking at his record here. He's won his last 4 in a row, won a good few fights in CFFC, which is obviously a very good promotion over in the States. You know, the likes of Cage Warriors would be, I suppose, the equivalent over here in this side of the world. So it's very interesting time for Nah-Shon Burrell, and he's fighting Ikram Aliskerov, who's 29 years of age. He's 11-1 in his career now with 8 finishes. You know, he's fought a good few fights in Brave. He's only lost this to Khamzat Chimaev, so you know, losing to Khamzat is not the worst thing in the world. So you know, Brave, if anyone has watched Brave, and I've watched a good bit of Brave over the last few years because there's been a lot of Irish fighters in it, you know, Brave aren't matching lads up easily, and he's getting, you know, if he had, how many has he had? Probably 12-13 fights in Brave. I think all his fights have been Brave actually, apart from the first 3. So what was that, 9 fights in Brave. He's not getting easy matchups there, and you know, his last win against Mario Giroch, he's, you know, not a bad fighter, and he's 11 or 12 wins in his career as well. So you know, that's an interesting fight there, and looking forward to seeing what Nah-Shon Burrell kind of has in the locker at this stage of his career, and if he can maybe make the move up the rankings here in the AFC, or see what way they're pushing him, or see if he can get back to maybe a Bellator or the UFC. The next fight up then, Akhmed Aliev against Darrell Horcher. Obviously, we know Darrell Horcher. He fought Khabib Nurmagomedov back in the day, if I'm not mistaken. He did, and then he had a few good fights in the UFC. Ended up winning against Devin Powell. Lost to the 37th president of the United States of America, Roosevelt Robertson Scott. Lost to Scott Holtzman as well, but went into PFL. Then lost to Oban Mercier. So I was looking to bounce back here. Aliev was in PFL as well. He lost to Rodzabov last time out in the summer of last year. Lost to Nathan Schultz as well, but has a win over Rashad Magomedov, who's a very, very good fighter and has a lot of experience now. He's beaten Diego Brandao, Efren Escondero back in Fight Nights Global. So that was another bless as well that was throwing these lads into big fights, and he's been a good fighter for a good while. PFL, when you get into that division, it's not always easy to win those fights, and a guy like him who has a lot of very, very good stand-up fighter. He's not nicknamed the Butcher for nothing. And what is it, 11 KO wins, no submissions, 9 decisions. When you have a fighter like that, you know what you're kind of getting there, I suppose. And it's been a while since he's had a knockout, all the way back in 2019. So I'm sure he'll be looking for one here. And Darrell Horcher is not an easy guy to knock out, but that should be a fun fight. One fight that really stands out to me, actually, I'll just mention Hanison Ferreira versus Zach Juloska is a 165-pound fight as well, obviously in that division. But a welterweight fight that really sticks out to me here, Impa Kasanganay, who obviously fought in the UFC, what is it, in September of last year, so not that long ago, against Carlton Harris. Obviously, he was on the wrong end of that massive vaulted spinning wheel kick KO from Jackie Buckley. But, he also beat Sasha Palnikov, Maki Pitolo as well in the UFC, won a couple of fights in Dana White's Contender Series. So he's a pretty good fighter, and he's fighting Raymond Magomedov, and we've seen a couple of these Magomedov fighting recently, and they're all very, very good. He fought in the last card that I previewed and reviewed as well. He beat Anthony Njokuani, and if anyone has watched that, you'll know how good he is. A very, very good fighter. He had a few fights in one championship as well on the lead up to that. Fought in EFN, fought in FNG, so that's a high level fight there, and Kasanganay will be looking to rebound, but Magomedov is a very, very good fighter. Hits hard, is good on the ground, is good everywhere. So that's what I'm definitely looking forward to on that card. And then we get to the top 3 fights on the night. There's a title fight. I'll get to that one first. It's for the heavyweight title, allegedly, according to Sherdog here. I hope you're right, lads, if the editor's watching it. Rizan Kuniev versus Anthony Hamilton. I went back and I watched a few of their fights. Actually, handily enough, Kuniev fought a few times in Dana White's Contender Series, and obviously Anthony Hamilton has fought a good few times in the UFC, so they're easy enough to find their fights on Fight Pass, which it's not always easy to find fights for some of these lads. But Kuniev, he's one of these guys, you look at him, right, and he doesn't look like much of a striker, but then he hits so hard. Like when he hits you, you stay hit, and maybe that happens a lot at the heavyweight division, but there's no airs or graces about him. He just comes forward, lands his shots. When he gets you in the clinch as well, obviously he's very good wrestling and good to take the if he is given a chance to take the fight to the ground, he absolutely will, and he's very, very good there. 6 finishes in those 10 wins, 5 of them via KO. No, not many very big names, I suppose, on his record. Lost a few of his opening fights to Dario Stocic and Justin Willis as well, who obviously went on to fight in the UFC, but he's won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 or 10 in a row now at this stage. Fought on an Eagle FC card back in 2020, as I mentioned, fought in Dana White Contender Series as well, and got the finish there. But going in there against Anthony Hamilton, to me, I haven't seen all his fights, but it looks to me like a big kind of step up in his career. Anthony Hamilton, watching a few of his fights as well, he's a guy who will, he's 41 years of age now, but he's a guy who will push you against the cage, try to take you down, try to land big shots coming inside. Jackson Winklejohn trained a lot with John Jones and different people like that, and has hasn't had the best time over the last while. Obviously went out of the UFC on a 4-fight losing streak, but he met Francis Ngannou and a few others there as well. But he has good wins over the likes of, Damil Lenchuk, Damian Grabowski, and, he's won some fights back in the day, but all the big ones he's kind of lost some. He lost to Walt Harris, lost to Todd Duffy, lost to Shamil Abdurrahimov, Alexei Olenek, as I mentioned, Francis Ngannou, and he lost last time out as well in September last year on the ESC 40 card. So this is a big fight for him. Honestly, I think Kuniev will win this one. It'll be interesting to see the bets. Hopefully they'll have some bets out for this by the time the betting show goes down. But yeah, I think Horcher, Hamilton is a little bit old at this stage. I think it's going to be a tough fight for him against Kuniev. But maybe not. It's going to be a tough battle, I think, especially if it's one of those fights that gets pushed against the cage. Two strong guys who are very, very strong against the cage, and that'll be a tough battle there. But I don't see this one exactly being, TJ Dillashaw versus Dominic Cruz or anything like that here, to be honest. But we'll see how it goes. The remaining two fights, then, to me, the fight of the night is Ray Borg versus Ricky Bandejas. Two very, very good fighters. Ray Borg obviously fought on the last card here that Eagle FC put on. He fought Cody Gibson in a fantastic fight. That was fight of the night there, and I think this will be fight of the night here as well. That was his second win in a row after winning over in UAE Warriors following his release from the UFC when he lost to Ricky Simon. Ricky Bandejas as well, I think surprisingly to a lot of people, was let go by Bellator at the end of 2020. He's popped back and fought in Combatches Global. He's went 2-1 there in that promotion. Has obviously been doing kind of big things over the last while. But I've seen Ricky fight a few times. Obviously beat a couple of Irish guys in Franz Malambo and James Gallagher. You don't beat Franz Malambo unless you're a very, very good fighter. Franz is a champion, I think, in 2 places now, isn't he? He won the tournament in Combatches Global, and he won is it the FEN belt as well? Or one of a belt over in Eastern Europe anyway. So Bandejas is a very, very good fighter. Hits very hard. Like that fight, he was losing to Franz Malambo and came back and hit him hard and won that fight. Ray Borg, we know Ray Borg is like up at 135 pounds, which I believe this is it is up at 135 pounds. He struggled to make weight at 125 before, and I think he is better off at 135 pounds. I think he'll be coming in and try to land a lot of shots on Borg or on Bandejas inside, get a few takedowns, get Bandejas to the ground. But I think Bandejas has good takedown of his, and when I say that, Ray Borg won't be afraid to strike with him either, but I think he will be trying to strike closer inside. Bandejas is a bigger guy for that division. He's 5'7" here. Ray Borg is 5'4", so there's a big difference there between that size. And I'm sure to reach, there'll be a bit of a difference there as well. I think Bandejas will be trying to kind of keep him on the outside, not take too much damage, and look for one of those big shots. And to me, this is a very, very good matchup. And the second I saw it, I was excited about this one. So really, really looking forward to that one and see how it goes down. That's one of those fights. If it was UFC, Bellator, Eagle FC, doesn't matter. That's a good fight. I think a lot of people will be tuning in just to watch that one. And in the main event, Kevin Lee versus Diego Sanchez, two ex-UFC fighters. Obviously, Kevin Lee, he's kind of flattered to deceive maybe in his career. I suppose that would be a fair thing to say. He's lost 4 of his last 5, but all the good fighters, Daniel Rodriguez, Charles Oliveira, Rafael Dos Anjos, and Iaquinta. But the wins either side of him, Gregor Gillespie and Edson Barboza, are very, very good. He's lost to Tony Ferguson as well, Michael Chiesa, whereas Diego on the other side of it has, funnily enough, a kind of a better record over the last while. Okay, he lost to Jake Matthews and Michael Chiesa, but he's beaten Mikel Pereira, beaten Mickey Gall, beaten Craig White. A lot of people thought after that Matt Brown fight in 2017 where he got viciously knocked out that would be the end of Diego, but no, he's come back, and we've seen Diego perform relatively well. Now Diego's older in his career at this stage. He's taken probably more damage than anyone in the history of MMA. Just turned 40 there before at the turn of the year, even the 31st of December is his birthday, I believe. But look, Diego's fought down at 145. I know Lee has fought down at 155, but I think this division, the 165 pound division, is the right division for Kevin Lee. You know, a little bit too small for 170, a little bit too big for 155, and I think this is absolutely perfect for him. For Diego, I feel like a 150 division might be the perfect one for Diego. I think, you know, 145 is a little bit too big for that. You know, maybe 155 is right for Diego. You know, don't get me wrong. You can fight at 155 and had a great career there. As for the fight itself, look, at this stage of their career, you'd have to favour Kevin Lee. He's closer to his prime. Diego has been fighting for, it feels like since God was a boy at this stage. So you'd have to favour Kevin Lee. He's wrestling. He's a better striker than Diego in terms of his technical ability and his power as well. Look, what Diego has is heart, and he's a tough guy to get out of there. And if he can keep going and keep pushing the pace against Kevin Lee, I believe this is 5 rounds. I don't think they're doing, or 3 rounds. Sorry, I don't think they're doing 5 rounds. Maybe I'm wrong, but I believe it's 3 rounds. I think Kevin Lee, cardio is obviously an issue for him as well, but I think at that weight class you would hope it'd be a little bit better because he's not carrying too much weight and not cutting too much weight. So look, Kevin Lee needs a big performance here. Let's be honest here. It's a great matchup for him. Look, Diego Sanchez is an easy fight for no one, but if you're to get a big name at this stage of your career, at this stage of his career, you probably couldn't be asking for anyone better than Diego Sanchez if you're Kevin Lee. He needs to look good. He needs to finish Diego Sanchez here, and he needs to put on a big performance. It'll be interesting to see as well. You know, we talked about at the start of the podcast the issues with Rocha and everything like that. How long will this money last? How long will these fighters be able to get paid these big bucks to fight on this promotion that's, you know, on their own streaming service in front of, you know, 24 people down in Florida, whatever it might be. This might be a thing that lasts forever. So I think if Kevin Lee goes in here, gets a big win, looks good against Diego Sanchez, you know, I'm not sure how many fights he has in a contract or if that contract would even last or whatever it might be, but the likes of Bellator might be looking at him then. They didn't want him before. The likes of UFC might even be looking at getting him back if he looks good. So it's a massive, massive fight for Kevin Lee. And, you know, for Diego, he's getting in there. Glad to see him getting more, you know, another big payday, hopefully. I hope those checks clear. But it's going to be a tough one for Diego. It really is. Look, Diego's, his best bet here is probably to tough it out, try to tire Kevin Lee out, maybe get on top. Like, I think if Diego could get a takedown here and get on top, Diego's jiu-jitsu is some of the most underrated jiu-jitsu in the world. And Kevin Lee, we've seen in the past, he's an issue with jiu-jitsu, I think, and especially, look, if Diego can get on top and you know, force Kevin Lee into playing that game and, you know, get out of the scrambles, I think, especially don't turn it into a wrestling match. I think Diego Sanchez could cause problems, but I think that's the only place he can cause problems. I see Kevin Lee kind of jabbing him up, landing some straights down the middle, hurting Diego, and probably end up finishing him, maybe taking him down after hurting him and getting a choke or something like that. But I think Kevin Lee would be better off not doing that and better off letting Diego get back up, landing a few more shots and maybe finishing him that way. But we will see, I suppose. We will see. But yeah, it's not one of those fights I'm looking forward to. I think Diego at this stage of his career, he had a bad dose of the COVID as well. I think did Kevin Lee maybe have it as well? But Diego had it very, very bad anyway. And I really don't think that'll help him, especially for a guy who kind of used cardio as a weapon. That just can't help, I don't think. So yeah, you would obviously have to favour Kevin Lee massively in this fight. But yeah, I will leave it there. Hopefully I did an okay job of going through that and talking about obviously the very, very sensitive issues at the start as well. Let me know what you think, everyone. Let me know what you think of this card, if you'll be watching, if you won't be watching, who you think will win, and how do you think the fights will go. And I will leave it there. My name is Sheehan for Sherdog.com, and let's see you all next time.